Welcome to my commentary for the tutorial for the hardest mode in God of War 2018. Yeah, the next several videos are going to continue to be more optional combat. So none of this is required, but yeah, there's definitely some very difficult optional battles that I've done in the next video, so I'll be editing and posting those all up. This fight can be tough, because you have to deal with all these assholes, and then you have to fight one of those lava ancients. So this fight takes me a while. I try to focus on these assholes first. So I take these guys out. And then after you kill enough of these guys, you can just deal with the lava enemy alone. And I think that's the best way to do it. So I try to kill them all first. Especially the one throwing fireballs at the top. I try to get rid of him quickly. See how much trouble he causes. So yeah, this can be an intense fight. But when you're fighting only the lava enemy, then it's, you know, pretty easy, but it can still be dangerous, because if you get hit, you catch on fire and you lose most of your life. So, you know, you gotta be careful. But yeah, basically just keep moving and try to get in hits when you can. And use some axe throws when you can to get their health down. I recommend not waking up the ancient, the lava ancient, until you've dealt with all these assholes. Because, you know, you're just going to make it harder on yourself if you have the boss moving around. See, I wake him up here, I think. Which wasn't a good idea. I shouldn't have been that reckless. So now I have to deal with the enemies and him at the same time. And things get pretty fucking intense since I have almost no life. You know, pretty much one hit away from death the entire time. So, you know, it's going to be a long fight at this point. I end up using a resurrection stone. But, I mean, this battle is definitely worthy of one of them, because it's one of the harder fights in some of these optional areas. Though there's some much harder fights that I came across a little bit later in the later videos, so there'll be some tough optional fights for sure. I've definitely had to be a lot more aggressive and not rely on axe throws and get more into the actual up-close combat a lot more now, which is cool. The game does force you to really get good at the combat on this difficulty. But yeah, at this point, you know, you got a lot of bullshit to deal with and avoid. I believe he can hurt his friends as well, but, you know, most of the time he's probably going to be hitting you, but, you know, but try to get rid of these assholes, and then you'll have a much easier time. Even though I did end up getting rid of these assholes, you know, I had such little health, I really didn't have any leeway to fuck up or get hit. But, I was able to survive through it. I think I died a number of times on this part, and I think this video is from around an hour of playtime edited down, you know, including menus, puzzles, things like that, not just purely combat and exploration. You know, since I don't know what's coming up, I've just been, you know, but this is from about an hour. So yeah, now I have this guy alone. So yeah, technically very easy fight, just takes a while. But of course, you know, things can go wrong at any moment. I try to use this rock as cover most of the time. And that makes things pretty easy, except this guy has attacks that can kind of go over the rock. He drops some fire stones and they can burn you, so you got to be careful with that. Gradually I get some of my health back, which, you know, may allow me to survive, you know, another fuck up if I get burned or something like that. Which I probably do end up getting burned. I mean, it's somewhat safe, but it's also, you know, it's still a little bit dangerous behind this rock. I never bother picking up those stones on the ground, but if you pick them up and throw them at the boss, they'll explode on the boss. And I think then you can get in several axe throws in a row, so you can get in a lot more damage if you use them. But I didn't want to fuck around with them because, you know, my health was already low. And, you know, if you don't pick them up in time, they'll blow up on you. Or you'll get shot while you're trying to grab it. So I just wanted to, you know, keep it safe. It's not too exciting to watch, but it works. It can be a little tricky sometimes because the rock gets in the way when you're trying to throw your axe, but at least you have, you know, some cover. But yeah, as you can see, some of them go over the rock, and you got to watch out for those. I try to throw the axe a little early before he opens up, but you know, sometimes it doesn't work too well. And now the Rage Stomp here does a lot of damage. So yeah, that ends that fight. And there'll be some other... there's another very hard battle coming up, but I was able to use the dragon to kill all the enemies, so I'll show how I exploited that. If you don't do that, you know, you're going to have a really hard fight. So... you'll see how to do that easily. I think that's a little bit late. I don't think that's the next thing, but it will be in this video. This video actually gets kind of drawn out because I was running around dodging electricity for a long fucking time in one area because I didn't know where to go. So that made things really tedious when I was playing, and I edited it down a little bit, but it's still very long, so I'll let you know when we get to that part if you want to skip the video. But until then, there's going to be a lot of action. There's a lot of good combat in this video, I think. This can be tough. I died a lot of times on this for some reason because these wolves are so fast, and they when you have a lot of them, they can really kill you fast. So, you know, I died a lot on this. It doesn't look too hard, but it's just the guys are very fast. The arrows have definitely been getting better as they've been powered up. They're a lot more useful now. I've been putting a lot of points into Atreus' arrows to get them powerful. I like those a lot. As you know, I like ranged attacks a lot. I like to pull bullshit from a distance whenever I can. So yeah, now I have to, you know, fight some, there's some more wolves in here. I think this was an easier fight. I think this is only like a few wolves, and I don't know if there's any other enemies. This one didn't give me any trouble. I don't think I died on this. I think, well, also I used rage on this. I said fuck it. I just used my rage. So that made things a lot easier. With the Rage Talisman, I can charge it up, and I have it available pretty frequently. So that's definitely my favorite talisman so far. I get a lot of use out of that. I also upgraded my Rage mode now. It was 10,000 experience points to upgrade, but it gives you the ability to throw these boulders in Rage mode. And with one bar of Rage, you can throw maybe about 3 of the boulders, but they do massive fucking damage. I mean, they can one-hit kill a lot of the weaker enemies. They're very useful. And if they hit 2 enemies at once, because the boulder's big, if it hits 2 enemies at once, it can, one-hit kill 2 enemies at once, which is huge on this mode. So I highly recommend getting that rage upgrade when you get the chance. I don't know if I had it at this point, but I get it, I have it available in these videos at some point. So yeah, here, this fight is very fucking hard. What I ended up doing was I go in this alcove here. This little, see this little area. And now I just keep the enemies back with my axe and my axe throws. And they all get burned to death by the dragon. And there's a lot of fucking enemies. So this is extremely useful. So I would, I recommend dealing with it this way. You see, they're all getting fucking fried. So the ones that don't get killed by my axe will get burned to death. And I'll be safe from the fire in here, so I won't die from that. I mean, if I come out a little bit, I will get killed by it, but, So I just stayed in here patiently, and you see all those life bars. Those are all enemies that are going to get fucked up by the dragon. Because it goes pretty much across, it goes very far, the fire. So eventually everybody's going to get fucked up. And then there's going to be like maybe 2 Scraggler enemies left. Like one ground serpent that's very easy to deal with when he's alone. You can just throw the axe at him. You don't even have to fight him properly. And then another very easy enemy. So where it gets hard is when I go in the area where the dragon is close to. That's where there's a lot of fucking enemies, and I try to ignore them so I can destroy the statues. You have to destroy 3 statues in this side mission. And I try to, I don't even know where the fuck they are, so I'm running around looking for them, and the whole time I'm, the ground is getting electrocuted constantly, and there's enemies everywhere, so I got to keep dodging the ground and dodging the enemies while trying to find the statues to destroy. So it was a huge pain in the fucking ass. Once I got, I think, to the part, I might only died once, once I killed all these enemies. I'm not sure, but I didn't die. I pretty much was able to survive somehow. Maybe on my first or second try on the area after these guys are dead. And it was just really fucking intense because I survived for a really long time and I didn't know where the fuck I was going. So it was tense. I had to edit it down because it took so long. I survived for such a long time, not knowing where the fuck to go. But this is still going to be overly long, this section. Like, after this part, the rest of this video is going to be, overly long. So that's just a warning. I try not to post tedious content, playthroughs and shit like that. But I wasn't sure how to edit this down because I could have edited it down to just the successful paths I took. But technically it is gameplay when I'm rolling away from the lightning on the ground, even if I'm not fighting enemies. So I guess that's action-related gameplay, which these videos are focusing on combat, so I guess that's, that is kind of combat-related. So I wasn't sure how I should handle that, so I decided to show most of it. I edited it down just very slightly, but so I kept most of it in. It's so long that it goes into another video, so it's going to be continued in the next video. So yeah, it's a bit redundant. But I'll let you know when, when you may want to skip parts because of the redundancy. There's a lot of shit to explore. There was runics to find. There was all kinds of shit to do in this area. It took a long time. I think I did everything in this area except there was one part where there was a troll you could fight, and I was like, fuck that shit. I'm not gonna throw an axe at a troll for another 10 minutes if I don't have to do it. So I was like, fuck that. I didn't feel like dealing with that again. I mean, there's so many fucking trolls in this game. They recycled the fuck out of the trolls. That's one thing that they really shouldn't have done. I mean, it gets fucking lame every time you see one of those large trolls. They take so long to kill, and they're just not fun to fight. So, I didn't really want to deal with that. I'm guessing the items that it's guarding are probably not that fucking good anyway, but I don't even know. I didn't even want to deal with it, so I skipped it. But aside from that, I did everything else. I rescued the dragon, which I think is the main goal of this area. Yeah, so now things get kind of ridiculous. I mean, I got to dodge all this fire, and there's enemies the entire time. And I don't know where the fuck I'm supposed to go. I know I need to get to the shrines to destroy them, but, I have no idea where they are at this point. So I find the first one here, and then there's like 2 more. I wasn't even sure what was considered destroying them, because I mean I broke a piece of it. I didn't know if that counted, but you have to completely break it. So I think I may have even left that one intact and didn't realize that I had to further destroy it. But I come back to it later and finish it off. You see there's a chest here with a rage horn in it. There's a lot of shit to do in this area. But you don't really want to do all the exploration shit until you take care of the little worship things that you have to destroy. It's better to destroy those first, because then the dragon will leave you alone at that point. It just flies away, so you won't have to deal with the electricity on the ground. That's what makes this area so fucking annoying and difficult. Constant electricity on the ground. But without that, it's pretty basic. So yeah, I'm going to be running around aimlessly for a while, just trying to find where the fuck I have to go. So yeah, that's the first one. So then at that point I realized you have to completely destroy them for it to count. So then I go back. I think I make a lot of weird turns not knowing where exactly I'm trying to go. I get disoriented in this area pretty easily, because I mean I'm not good with like mazes and shit like that. It's not really a maze, but yeah, that's why I don't really like exploring, you know what I mean? I'm not really into that. But it's been a lot of fun overall, the exploring in this in the hardest mode, because it's satisfying to power up the character in this mode. So I've been getting a lot of extra hours of entertainment doing that. It's cool. I'll try to do all the side missions that I can do that come up before I go back to the main story. That way I'll at least be decently powerful. I was trying to ignore the enemies in this area for the most part, because I just wanted to destroy the 3 little shrines, and that was it. I thought that would be enough, and then I could deal with them later, but they're becoming a huge fucking nuisance, because then they get you cornered and you got that electricity. There's a lot of them. Here I'm trying to drop down, but of course you can't do certain things when enemies are around in this game. They don't let you do certain shit, so you can't open chests, you can't climb, so you have to clear out the area. I'm trying to keep my distance. I mean, that asshole's just been standing there, but eventually I do find a path that leads to the next area. And then I edited that part down. See, I edited out a chunk here because I was wandering around for a long fucking time. And again, I try to drop down, but yeah, no luck. So now things get intense. So I'm one hit away from death, and there's electricity everywhere. And I end up using a resurrection stone here just to survive so I can get to the next area. Because otherwise I don't know how far back they were going to send me, and, it's kind of a pain in the ass, this area. It would have been way faster if I knew where the fuck I had to go, but I really had no idea. I kept hitting the dead ends. And eventually I find this area, but then this area was confusing because I see these assholes praying to something, so I figured there was a shrine in here. I didn't know if it was that big thing in the middle or what it was. So I fucked around in here for a while trying to figure out if there was a shrine in here. But it's not in here. It's in another area. So I think I ended up stopping here and killing all the enemies just so I could progress, because it won't let me climb up the little steps. So I was like, fuck it, let me kill all these assholes. So, you know, you get some combat here. And I eventually kill all these guys. It's annoying, but there's not much to it. You know, just keeping a distance and, you know, throwing the axe. It's a pretty standard fight. It's just annoying with the electricity. I don't know if there's... I don't think there's any electricity on the ground in this area, luckily. I don't think so, but... So I guess it wasn't as bad, but there was a lot of enemies, so it's a little bit annoying. But, you know, pretty basic. It's more of a nuisance because you don't know where the fuck to go, so, you know, it's just... To me, it was just annoying because, you know, I'm trying to figure out where to go, and then, you know, these assholes are popping up, and there's electricity everywhere. It's just kind of an annoying area. I didn't really enjoy this area too much overall, but it was cool to complete it. There's some pretty frustrating fights in the next few videos. There'll be some intense battles. Optional battles, but there'll be some hard ones. So stay tuned for some of those. Those will be more interesting than the end of this video. You know, the beginning of this video wasn't too bad, I guess. There was some decent combat. But there's definitely... I got some, you know, some much better footage in the other videos. But yeah, if you're still watching this, you know, congratulations, because this is pretty tedious. But I did warn the viewers. And then the next video is going to pick up. It's still going to be in this area, but it's going to be further in this area until this area is completed. And the dragon is freed, so it'll show the rest of this. The second video should move along faster because by that point I was... You know, I didn't have to worry about destroying the stones as much, so it was a little bit more straightforward. I mean... Originally, this part was like, what the fuck do I have to do? It was, you know, that was the hard part for me, is not knowing where I have to go. You know, I can usually deal with hard combat, but I don't like when I don't know where the fuck I have to go, and then there's shit everywhere. Lightning and assholes everywhere. So I was pretty annoyed. Yeah, and this is just another... This is your first seal that you can destroy, your runic seal, or whatever it's called, for the chest that you're going to get later with the Rage Horn, so keep that in mind. Although, like I said, this is not a great video for exploration, because I don't even think I showed where this area was. Maybe I gave a general idea in the previous video, but like I said, this is really not the video for exploration. You know, if you want to see where everything is exploration-wise, you know, it's better off checking a video of the normal mode, or... A video that focuses on hidden areas or something like that is much better for that. This is really... The purpose of this series is really combat related. And that was a quick... If you saw really quickly, I took the second seal out really fast. So if you rewind, you can see that. I should have left it on longer, obviously. But, like I said, this is not really a great video for showing where shit is located. Definitely not the video for that. But yeah, stay tuned. I'm going to get the other videos up. And I'll have them up soon, so stay tuned.